Transition Awareness Breathing. Feeling grounded for both children and parents is essential for healthy living and learning. Join Eartha Powell on this series for tips and tools for creating a harmonious environment for learning. Transition Awareness Breathing will help you and your child find an individualized path to tackle change, promote lifelong learning, and discover new approaches to calmness.
Hi, everyone. This is Eartha, and I'm back with you with Transition Awareness Breathing. I'm outside trying some new things with our meeting. Welcome back. Being outside is kind of new. It's a change. And what we're going to talk about today, we're going to do a little bit of a recap of what we talked about last time. And then we're going to move into the meat of our discussion. Last time we talked about the influences of social media on our teenagers. And we talked a lot about the recent report that came out from the United States Surgeon General's report. I have it pulled up right here, and the Surgeon General pointed out that being on social media more than 3 hours causes a risk to our teens. And so that link with all the details of the Surgeon General's report is in that podcast from last week. And so we're not going to go into any of the details, but I wonder just to ask you, how was your week? Did you notice any changes when your children, whether they are small children, tweens or teens, did you notice any differences in their feelings, their expressions, their behavior before they got onto the social media and then afterwards? If you didn't, it's okay, but this might be something that you can be aware of. And if you are a teen or a tween, maybe ask yourself, how do you feel? How do I feel before I go on to my favorite social media program? And then after you're finished, how do you feel afterwards? Another thing I'd like to ask, and maybe you can ponder, is, did you pay attention to how long you were on the social media? So again, if you didn't pay attention to those 3 observations, maybe pay attention to that this week. And most schools are out, and a lot of families are going to be traveling. So maybe pay attention to the differences that you may be experiencing compared to when you're in your routine pattern of being at home. Compare that to when you're traveling. Okay? And so I think that's important, and I appreciate this new summary that I'm doing with all my classes, and I thought I'd do it with my podcast because I think it helps us realize that we are practicing mindfulness more than we give ourselves credit. And that's what I really want to talk with you about today, is really bringing your attention, bringing your awareness to your mindfulness practice. Many studies have been done indicating that once a person has completed a mindfulness training, that their continued practice seems to decrease. And, what can we do to help increase our mindfulness practice after we receive a lot of training? Because it takes time. I finished a training myself with it was with Gina Beagle, and it was a certification class on stressful teens and instructor certification class. And I appreciate all the information and updated research. It's very research oriented and new perspectives and some great new activities. And, that's one thing that I like to do, is to keep my skills sharp and updated. And, once I finish the training, I want to continue to use them because it is an investment. And so how do we do that? It's so easy to go through a training and, we feel good afterwards. And sometimes we give our feedback at the end of the class, how great the class was. And then we go home, we go back into our normal routine, or we go on vacation, and we may think about the practice. And then by the time we're finished with our vacation, or by the time we get back to our normal routine, we find that we're back in the old habits that we used to do. So I invite you to join me and see what we can do different to help us sustain our practice. Gina Beagle has a activity which she calls a drop-in mindfulness practice. And I think a lot of people do this. I like Gina's title, the drop-in practice. You can call it whatever you would like. But what it is no matter what you're doing, and we're going to practice this practice today. And I'm so happy and excited to bring this practice to you using a video format as well. And so what we're going to do is we pay attention to just three things throughout our day, like right now. Because mindfulness is paying attention to the now. And not only is it paying attention to the now, but we're paying attention to it in a non-judgment. And as Gina pointed out in our class, that is a non-harmful judgment. Being harmful is not just about being physically harmful, but it can also mean being harmful in our words, being harmful in our thoughts. It doesn't mean that, we're going to go around with fake smiles on our face and, make statements that are really not true. But it means to just kind of let go of any judgments, self-judgments. I'm not an expert at doing videos. This is not going to turn out right. I mean, we're all learning. And so what I would recommend, and I'm going to share my screen with you in a few moments, is to use our approach in a growth mindset perspective, that we're all learning. And if one perceives themselves as an expert, and they've done this 100 times before, then I would challenge you to find something new. Find a new perspective. Because oftentimes, when we are at a certain level, reach a height, we begin to become closed to outside perspectives and outside information. I may be wrong, but I'm just putting some food out for thought. And if we keep ourselves in a state of readiness and mindfulness and willingness to learn something that we may not have known before, I think that helps open up positive mindsets, and it helps stimulate a lot of sparks in our neuroplastic growth in our neurons in our brain. And that's a lot to say. So let's get started with our practice. I'm going to pull my notebook over here and get a sip of water. I invite you to do the same. Get comfortable, get a sip of your beverage, tea, coffee, water, whatever. This is not going to take long. This is just kind of briefly introduce you to this practice, and then maybe we can build on it later on. But when we're learning something new, we're not going for perfection, whatever perfection is. I mean, who defines perfection? So, but what we can define is we can try and we can start. So the drop-in practice, we're going to concentrate on three things. We're going to concentrate on our body. We're going to concentrate on our breath. And we're going to concentrate on our mind. Now, because I'm outside, take in any environmental noises that you may hear. And that's what transition awareness breathing is all about. I don't practice mindfulness in a studio. And when I am doing my practice, I'm always not in a quiet environment. And I think that helps strengthen my practice and strengthen my program, because distractors are things that happen all the time. And I try this also with my students. It gets a little bit challenging, but we continue to practice. So as a drop-in practice right now, pay attention to what's going on with your body. This is a brief body scan. We're not going to take the long practice, the formal practice of body scan, but pay attention to the temperature around you, in your environment. I'm paying attention to the temperature in my environment. I'm outside. It's a bit cloudy. And I feel a little bit hesitant because the clouds are a little bit low and a little bit gray. So I'm a little bit apprehensive, and as you might see, I'm kind of looking over my computer. I'm looking for rain since I'm outside on the computer. But I think I got enough time where we can get through our program. So that's what's going on with my body. And I'm talking this through so that you can be aware of my practice as I'm going with you. I feel a breeze right now. My feet are flat on the ground, and it's grass and leaves, and so I'm trying not to move my feet a lot, so there's not a lot of crunching that's going on as I record this program for you. Otherwise, I'm pretty comfortable. And so what's going on with you? I pause, give you a few minutes to kind of take it in. Now let's go to the breath. And we're not going to do a formal counting breath. If you want to, it's okay. But more so, just pay attention to the movements of your body as you breathe. Pay attention to the breath and the temperature of your breath. You don't want to change the breath. You don't want to concentrate on the breath. Oftentimes when we're told to concentrate on your breath, you tend to kind of feel yourself concentrating on your breath, and then you start changing the breath. Let's just take it easy and just take in the breath. And if we are noticing ourselves changing our breath, then we just say, oh, I feel like I'm changing my breath, and just let it pass. If there's any distractors around, and just realize they are distractors. They're part of part of life, and just realize that we're just going to let those distractors pass. Is your breathing coming down to it? Yeah, it's a regular breath. Now let's move to the mind. And when we talk about the mind, this is according to Gina's guide. When we talk about the mind, we're talking about how we're feeling, our thoughts and our emotions. So we've paid attention to our body. We're paying attention to our breath. And now we're paying attention to our feelings, our emotions, and our thoughts. And we may have distracting thoughts that will come as we're practicing. And so, it's like, well, what should I be thinking about? Don't think about, just let your thoughts just flow. And, you may be in certain situations, certain stressors may be going on in your life. I know there's stressors going on in my life, and but right now I am not going to pay attention to those stressors. I didn't say I'm not going to acknowledge the stressors, and I'm not going to recognize that I have stressors. I'm not going to let them have the front stage. They have to stand back. Those stressors, those activities that I have to pay attention to later. And so right now, we're just going to find a moment for ourselves and just take in a sense of calmness and a sense of peace. Because we do have this moment. We have the now. And at this moment, you and I, we're just experiencing a few moments of calmness, just right now, at this minute. So let's just enjoy it. We don't have to get into any special positions. We don't have to do yoga. That we can look around our environment and find a focal point. We can pay attention to our breath as the anchor. And we can enjoy the beauty of just having a moment just to catch our breath and enjoy the beauty of right now. I see my garden in front of me, and that brings a lot of calmness for me, because I like gardening. And things are starting to bloom. Clouds and the blue sky behind the clouds are, to me, is very calming and very relaxing. So what's going on in your environment? What's bringing you into a calmness? End of exercise. So that was the drop-in mindfulness practice. And you could do that anytime, anywhere. So let's say, just tracking back to our topic that we talked about last week, about being aware of the influences of social media with our teens. You could do a drop-in practice. Yeah, as you're looking at social media, not just teens, anybody, everybody, all of us. You could do a drop-in practice. Be aware of your body. What's going on? Is there any tension? Is there any pressures? Is there relaxation? What you're looking at. Is it causing any changes in your body, any stressors? Pay attention to your breath. Pay attention to your mind, your thoughts, your feelings. and your emotions. And remember, as you're paying attention to those things, really be aware of being non-judgmental, being non-judgmental in a non-harmful way in our thoughts and in our judgment. Now, I'm going to share my screen as I do my drop-in practice. Pay attention to my body and my mind and my breath. There we go. See, it works. Doing the drop-in practice as I'm searching, talking through this. Okay. Now it will be helpful. Okay, this is why I want to go. Thank you for your patience. This is what I want to go over with you. And this is, in my humble opinion, what makes transition awareness breathing very unique. And this is a book I am about finishing up, and I wanted to share this slide with you. Hopefully I'll get this, book, finalized within this, next 30 days or so, and have it available for you. So in our drop-in practice, when we're talking about non-judgmental, we want to relax and just let go. We want to let go. We want to bring in calmness, bring in peace, and being aware of our breath and our surroundings. So when we're breathing, we don't have to pay formal attention to the breath, but just research has shown that when we're inhaling, the inhale breath that's shorter and the exhale breath is longer, it helps promote a little bit more relaxation. And then mindful movements, our body. What you take into your body consumes you. And I think recognizing emotions, recognizing our environment, including social media, recognizing how it influences and affects our body, just bringing an awareness. So these are just some points that, we can focus in on, and what we mean by, focusing on your body. So these are mindful, points to focus in on. And then the growth mindset. So what we could do in bringing ourselves to a non-judgmental self-awareness is to take things from a perspective of a growth mindset, a positive mindset. And as I was sharing and trying to bring the screen to you so I could share my slide, I had practiced. Honestly, I practiced before I started this podcast, and a different screen popped up that didn't show up before. And so I just talked myself through as I shared with you through that drop-in practice, and figuring out, okay, what's going on here. And what I was also doing was keeping a positive mindset, not allowing frustration, fear, or anxiety to take over. And then using, as I did, is making this a learning experience. So instead of looking at stressors or difficulties or challenges as negative experiences, we can reframe that and look at it as a positive learning experience. Because when we're learning something, we are going to have challenges. It's not the first time that it is. It is the first time we may be doing something. And so it may not go smoothly. One instructor that I was taking a training from, he phrased it as, his name is Dan, of the app that I'm developing. Dan calls it the first pancake. So when you're trying something new and you make the first pancake, usually that first pancake doesn't come out perfect, but it's a pancake. So at least you started. And so here we are, we're trying something new and we're starting. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen. It takes a little longer. So we're paying attention and we're being aware of what we're pushing, our button, and what we are looking at on our screen. So we're doing a drop-in practice right as we're doing this podcast. So that's pretty cool, right? Yeah. So we did a demonstration of a drop-in practice as we're doing this podcast with you using video. So that's pretty cool. And I am so happy and excited to share this with you. I look forward to doing this more often with you. Next time we'll have a different topic and then we'll review what we went over today. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for spending your time with me outside in my yard. I hope this was helpful for you. And I look forward to talking to you again next time. Bye.
Be sure and pick up a copy of Eartha's new book, Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's not just an ordinary coloring book. It features 23 illustrations to stimulate thought, relaxation, and creativity for anyone between the ages of 4 and 94. Increase your positive self-talk energy, unlock new creative paths, transform your time once or twice a week to create beautiful art while strengthening confidence, building positive self-talk, and sensitize self-awareness. Tab Mindfulness, Awareness and Coloring Activities in a Pandemic World. It's available now at Amazon.com.